Hello once again, everybody. You have found yourself tuned into the Rocker Dog Podcast, the only show that talks to people in and around the music world about their wonderful dogs. I am your host, Tim Dill, and by my side, suffering through this summer heat in a full fur coat, is my dog, Charlie. And today we have a really fun conversation with Eric Leiderman, who is not only a musician, but the producer of A Late Night with Seth Meyers, who spearheads the 8G band sit-in that features popular guest drummers each week. And these are his smart, easy to train, and perfectly sized rocker dogs.
Yeah, so this is a two-dog household, which is a sign of an unwell person, even if they're the only person in the house or there's another person. There are two of us here, my partner and I. So like she is a dog person too, but I sort of converted her to the miniature Schnauzer breed, which is, it's my family's thing, and I'll talk about that later. But this is Moose, and I'll put him in the he's 3. I'll put him in the traditional Westminster hold before he's placed on the table.
Awesome.
Even though he looks like he's been through a wood chipper. This is New York City, what it does to a dog, and haircut after a
He looks
month.
like he maybe got a little bit of his water bowl already this morning.
Oh my God, it's like no good deed. I brushed him 3 times since before the podcast. But he's a purebred miniature Schnauzer. I'm a breeder person. I love rescues. I give them money every month. There will not be a rescue in this house. Sorry, guys. What was that? Oh, I'm a piece of... Okay, that's fine. We have a long history of miniature Schnauzer, so I feel very strong about that. But I do love the rescues, what they do. But yeah, he's 3. He's perfect, and this is him. And then I have another one if you want to see the other one.
Yeah, let's get the number 2.
And
we will be talking down the line. I know there's some significant dogs in your history.
Oh yeah. Oh, and what a history. I mean, the viewership must be like, I can't wait to hear this. Sorry, Buddy. Okay, so this is Buddy. He's 10. Also a miniature Schnauzer. I've had him since 2014. Moose we got in 21. But yeah, also looks like he's lived on the streets for a couple of weeks, but he's actually been meticulously taken care of, and he's wonderful. He is my baby.
Now, naming wise, given you're the producer at Late Night with Seth Meyers and you spearhead this guest drummer for the 8G band, is Buddy named after Buddy Rich?
You know, I wish I was that, sort of purely driven artistically by the drums, but I'm a child of the 80s and 90s and all that stuff. Buddy Rich, I was like, oh, I think he has a signature stick with Vic Firth, and oh, big band. Yeah, it's all like Tommy Lee and Lars Ulrich and all the grunge guys, and then beyond, of course. But I named him because everyone had an idea about what to name him, and I gave him the most basic dog name ever. And it fits because he's sweet, he's docile, and he's a person, and he's Buddy. Everyone's like, that's so lazy. And I'm like, is it? Because my dog before this, Murray, who we'll talk about, was still around at the time. And everyone's like, oh, it has to end in Y. And I'm like, well, that's fucking Buddy. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, it's fine.
What about Moose?
Moose is another one that Kate and I were trying to name the dog together. We were really trying to find a way to name something accurate. And we went through, Murphy and tributes to Murray, who had passed, and really overthinking it. But I met a dog named Moose in London once, who was like kind of like a famous influencer dog before that was a thing, in like 09, 010. And there's a book called My Name is Moose, and it's this gorgeous, if I see it handy, I'll show it to you, a gorgeous miniature Schnauzer that when I was spending a lot more time in London when I was married in another life, I went over there and had to find this English dog. And we found this dog like appearing at some dog Olympics, which is, of course, again, ahead of its time. And that dog, his name was Moose, and was so cute, and it just stuck with me. And we were struggling with the name. And then I saw that, I think Kate would say that she came up with it or said it was a good idea, one of the two. I have to give her credit somehow. But Moose is perfect. And it stuck because he is big. He's a big boy. He's super, he's thick, and he's a total dog. He antagonizes other dogs. He wants to play all the time. He's just a moose.
Well, I got to give credit to Kate. I'm sure one of the things that attracted you to her is her sense of humor, because on her Instagram, she says she's the Meredith Blake to 2 Schnauzers.
Great research.
And those who don't know, Meredith Blake was the character in The Parent Trap that was kind of the antagonist to the twin girls. So it's a very funny premise that she mentions that.
Kate is very funny. I'm waiting for Kate to write something because she is a very dry Catholic woman from New England, and she just slays you with stuff like that. And she's very funny in person, but I think actually the written word is something that she's great with. I struggle. I'm better in person, and I think she's incredible with that kind of stuff. But
Yeah. I think you might be the first schnauzers on the show. I've had 100 episodes.
oh wow.
I'm trying to think back, but let's get into that. Why schnauzers? How are you a schnauzer guy?
So my grandfather was a Volvo car dealer on Long Island. He, of course, had many clients and repeat customers. So I think it was in like the mid 60s, he somehow, and I don't know this part, he somehow knew a miniature Schnauzer breeder. And for whatever and however, and we don't ask too many questions in this family, and this is one of those things, he went there and there was a whole litter. He bought the whole litter. I think it was like 8 dogs, 6 to 8 dogs. And then from there, he gave my parents one, of course. Not like, would you like it? I think it was more,
Like,
here
here
it
you
is.
go.
Yeah. It's a different generation. But you'll like this. You need this. It's what's right for you. It's like, oh, okay. And then proceeded to give all the other dogs. I don't know if he kept one even for himself. Maybe, I don't think so. Um, he gave them all to clients. He
Mm.
literally showed up at their door. It's like, thanks so much for buying multiple Volvos a year. Here's a Schnauzer, which of course, again, is a great sign of a stable person. But what a blessing, because that's where it started. That dog was Brandy, maybe. There was one dog that actually that my parents had that passed on the operating table from getting the ears docked from anesthesia, which is of course is the classic thing that you can't believe happens, but happens. And then there was Sugar, and Sugar long time lasted. But then when I was on the scene in the 80s, they got Boo. And Boo was like a little like mangled, typical shag, not bred for ears and sort of lethargic. And that was my childhood dog. But then the killer dog was Sparky. Sparky was like a terror and couldn't have people over, biter, terrible dog. We didn't train it well. It was given to me as like a birthday gift. And that dog kind of ruined our household in a lot of ways, whether we realize it or not, because we couldn't have people over. We had to put her away when people came over. It added a lot of tension to a
Right.
house that was already a very verbose, intense, loving household, but like it was a lot.
Yeah.
So Sparky dies, and I'm out of the house. And I think Sparky died when I was in college. And then in 2002, I sort of realized I didn't have a dog. And I'm like, I need my own dog to ruin and make it for a terrible household, because that's my only connection at that point. And I got my own dog in Los Angeles in 2002, and that was Murray. And Murray is like the OG, like the dog that everyone still talks about, because
Yeah.
gorgeous dog and super well behaved and very unique animal that I had until 2017.
Okay.
And Buddy and him overlapped by a couple of years. So
Well, often on the show, it's become a broken record, but I find it's funny to see this contrast. I say, oftentimes I ask, is the dog on brand? And I know one of the guests you've had, as drums was Matt Byrne with Hatebreed.
yeah,
This hard, aggressive music, yet he has these two tiny little dogs named Ravioli and
Edie.
Ziti.
Yeah,
And it's just so funny. And you mentioned in a post that you self-acknowledge, like, this is my brand. These dogs are my brand.
100%.
Your first 8 posts going back 15 years, 5 were dogs. Your dogs have birthday wishes from Matt Cameron, John Theodore, Matt Sorum. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm curious, when did this kind of take hold as you accepting them as your brand?
The truth of the matter is, I've always, like, again, from my grandfather, I've always like had Schnauzer shirts. The number of things that are Schnauzer that I'm looking at right now in this room are many, and it's a lot. I mean, it's everywhere. And I will only have a miniature Schnauzer. I will not have any other dog in my house. I just won't. Why would I? I mean, if I had met Kate and she had had a dog that existed, okay, that's fine. And my ex-wife, actually, when we were together, she got a dog, like some sort of, I forget what,
Yeah.
Cavapouchon.
Okay.
Gorgeous, gorgeous dog. Very smart, lovely dog. But like, I never would have gotten it. Again, when you're married or when you're with someone else, like, and if Kate came with me with a strong brand and she grew up with golden retrievers, then I would have been like, I can't deny that. I'd fight like hell to be like, why do you want this, inferior animal in a home? Like, get it out of here. But I love the brand. They're easy to train. They are smart. They don't shed. They are hypoallergenic for most, and they're the perfect size. They're under 20 pounds. And that face and the uncropped ears was a move that I did with Murray, because the
Mhm.
natural ears, the breeder's like, well, he's great natural ears. I'm like, well, that's good because I don't want to crop. And he's like, okay. And when I got Moose, and Buddy, I had to fight with the breeder a little bit more with Buddy because she didn't know me. I had to be like, I don't want cropped ears. She's like, that's not breed standard. And I'm like, listen. And then I had a few good men there, and I stood up like a big, strong man. And I said, but I think that look, that's not the conventional show look, which I'm also very fascinated with, but I'm completely baffled and confused by at the same time. That look is not my brand. Again,
Yeah.
these are puppies with the crop
The
look
high
and
ears. Yep.
high ears, but it's still very cute. And I had two, Sparky was like that. So to me, I just think aesthetically, personality wise, care wise, all of the physicalities and person, like it's all a perfect thing for me. And I love milking the brand aspect of it too,
Yeah.
because I know a little bit too much more than I should, but not really enough. But that's it for me. I don't know. It's a weird
Yeah.
thing.
Well, as part of your brand, and what I see through social media is rock and roll as well.
Yep.
Do the dogs sync up with that brand as well? Are they free spirited? Are they always out for a good time? Are they hedonistic?
You know what? They are also, terriers in general, I think tend to be, they say terriers are smart, right? And popular, and they went, very social dogs. They're much less dog in personality. And I would say like human, even though like they're idiots. All of them are morons. Don't get it twisted, but we used to call Murray the Dark Lord. It was his nickname for everyone. Everyone used to call like, what's up with the Dark Lord? Like all my metal friends and like, how's the Dark Lord? Because it doesn't match the metal. Metal is costumey, and people who like live that brand are always like the nicest, nerdiest people, but they come in hard as nails and
Yeah.
all quiet. And then you engage them, and they're like, I'm John. It's great to meet you. And I love Megadeth. And you're like, okay. So I feel that way about the dogs, that there's nothing. Metal is like, a look where it's like the beard and it's all like, they always look grumpy and grouchy. And then you literally look at them just to give them a modicum of attention, and you get that love and affection that you get from like a quote dumb dog. And it's a little more cat-like because they won't smother you. They
Mhm.
won't like lay on you like a bigger dog, in my idea of what a bigger dog is. Their brand is like, I would like to be cuddled. I would prefer if you fuck off. I would prefer if you engage with me and play with me. I'm not in the mood. As I say, like, they're human because they have these personality traits that are very specific and they're independent enough to not be annoying. And that to
Mhm.
me is what makes it great.
Well, you have a great array of artists and guest drummers that it seems like you initiated that part of the show, is having these guest drummers show up for a week and play with the band.
Yep.
Can you identify the dog drummers, the dog people?
Oh yeah. Well, the first one that comes to mind is Braun Daler from Mastodon. He had a Dalmatian for a long time, and then he got this. Oh my God, now I'm always forgetting the name of his dog. Oh, Beefcake. Beefcake is hilarious, and it's a great name. And Braun is a really talented drummer and musician, but also like as an artist, I really like his stuff. He's always taking still pictures of Beefcake and superimposing like costumes, like whether it's around his butt or on his face or on like he makes parts of his body different areas for artistic exploration.
I'm going to follow him immediately after the show.
Oh, it's great. Beefcake's a winner. And then John Theodore had an amazing dog, JB, who just recently passed this year, and it's like an awesome mutt, and was like John's companion and would know to go in the back of the car and like chill in the car, and knew like just really was very intuitive with John, super flexible, like road dog that like I'm
Yeah.
going to a different house while he's on tour. I'll be cool. And she just passed, and she was super, super awesome. But those are the two that like come to mind just because I have not met Beefcake, but I would encourage Braun to do more, as much Beefcake content as possible. And I'm ready, and I hope John gets a new dog after like things slow down from on this cycle, because he's such a dog person. And when someone has a dog and is a drummer on the show and folk uses that dog on the socials or not, we just talk about it, I'm immediately way more trusting.
Yeah.
And I think that sounds like a hacky thing. And because there's plenty of pieces of shit in the world, dog owners, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but he had a dog. He said he'd be here. Like, that's not how it works. It's like, the money was supposed to go into my account at 8 a.m. this morning, but he's got an amazing giant schnauzer. Like, it doesn't work like that. But yeah, and if you look, I think John might have some posts on his social of JB as well.
Yeah. Well, I wind down every show with what I call the Zoomies, and that's 5 very profound, very deep questions.
Oh, I'm sure. Let's do it.
Question one is, do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
Yes.
Okay, that is the correct answer.
Thank you.
Question two, given your occupation and your love of music, do your dogs have a theme song or like walk up music to the plate?
Oh, that's a great question. You know what it is? In my mind, I actually do this bit, and I didn't think to connect it to a song, but it's Frankenstein. Because every time like Moose comes around the corner, it's just
Edgar Winter? Okay.
yeah. And I've catch myself doing that bit many times. So although I have not labeled it, I will make this moment with you the official moment that this is the theme song of Buddy and Moose.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm honored.
Oh,
Question three, let me ask you, being a
yeah.
drummer, I've
Mhm.
got a little drummer in my background. I
Oh,
don't know if you're officially endorsed, but who would you want to be endorsed by? Who would be your drums, cymbals, and sticks?
I am officially endorsed from my touring days. Tom of Drums, which I always wanted, and I still love very much to this day.
Did an
To,
artist inspire that? Was one of your childhood heroes a
it's all
Tom?
Lars. It's all
All
Lars.
ours? Okay.
It was also John Stanier, who is a friend of mine, and he'd be a combination of flattered and embarrassed that I said that about him. But Symbols, Peisty, I'm endorsed by them, and they were always very supportive of me, and they signed me early on. For sticks, I'm a Vader guy. Period.
I was setting up to lead to what would your dogs want to endorse for? Who would they want to endorse for? I guess is the better way to phrase it.
Barber, because Moose. Hey, Moose. Okay, so this ding dong has a this is a Barber collar.
Okay.
Apologies to your audio fans, but the typical Barber print, made famous by their wax jackets and whatnot. I think it's a perfect for him because like loud collars and stuff, I don't like on
Hmm.
dogs. I don't want like a gray collar, but it looks so nice. They also have Kate got them matching Barber rain jackets. I just think it looks so good on them. And when they both wearing the jackets together, the looks, the risky business glasses tilts that we get around Brooklyn are very, very funny. Two dogs that people always look, and even the hardest motherfuckers in Brooklyn and New York City, if they look and they are dog people, even a little bit, and I get them to smile, like that's the win. And I'm always like, yeah, you love it. And the
That's great.
barber, I think when you put them in the coats and in the collars, it's a big win. Big pop there. Big pop.
Awesome. I love it. That's a very original from any answer I've gotten in the past.
That's the goal.
Question four is, do you use a dog voice to speak to them?
It's this. It's hey bud. It's a little high, it's high pitched. Come up. It's like, hey Moose. It always goes up. And then there's the one where I want to get their attention is who's that? And then they're both, oh, see, there he goes. Oh, see? They're like, who? They put out their cigarettes like on their hands and they're like, who's that? And they're always looking to see like who it is. So
Do you give them a voice? Do you personify them? Like, what would they sound like?
no, I don't. I don't do that. I think there's a lot of like what me worry Alfred E. Newman sometimes because as much as we love dogs, they are incredibly stupid and they do stupid things. They're permanent, toddlers, right? Eating things that they shouldn't. They don't really evolve that way too much. So I don't. I actually don't do that with them, but I do speak to them like they're children and then always talk about how much we love them.
Hmm. Okay. And last but not least, is there a dog organization or service that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, I give to ASPCA every month. I've been doing that for a long time. I have it like it's one of the few things I have on auto pay. As someone who, quite frankly, is like a breeder person, I understand that like rescue dogs and home assisted dogs and shelters need help.
Hmm.
And but I this so this is sort of how I offset my guilty conscience, but also like help out. And it's the only donation really like with consistency that I do. I have of course things here and there, but that are one-offs, but I really feel it's important to give ASPCA or a like-minded similarly service sort of charity
Yeah.
some love that way is if you're going to be a snotty breeder person because when people come after me it's like oh you go to a breeder. I push back very hard. I'm like, you know what, there's no laws that say people can't breed dogs privately. That's not my area.
Yeah.
I don't make those rules, and this is what I want. And we have that choice to pick the kind of dogs we want and the temperament we want. Look, my sister just got a Schnauzer rescue that is definitely an amalgamation of many things, and I'm really excited for the DNA test to come back. But that didn't work for me, and I want something, in a purebred. But all the purebreds are inbred and weird too, and they have their things. But
Yeah.
yeah, ASPCA. If you can give a little, and you're a breed person, or even if you're not, I think that's a good way to put your donation money for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. One last question. Who's your white whale? Which drummer do you want on the show that has not taken the throne yet?
I'm happy to say this, and I don't think I would have said it, maybe like, even in recent times, but Dave Grohl, there was talk to get him this summer, and it fell through. He is super busy. There's a lot of people in that organization. There's a lot of people pulling really the most well-known drummer in the world in many different directions. So I don't take any of it personally, but it was, I thought I had, I have a pretty unique thing here, and I have pretty minimal ego about it. To not have him be a part of it was painful. It was shitty. And I was like, I don't care, but like I do care. And I was surprised how bad I felt when it was sort of being discussed for this summer and it fell out. But touring is touring. And a quick story adjacent to that was Taylor and I talked for years about having him be on the show. And he was, not because he's not here. I think a lot of people tend to reminisce fondly about people, but Taylor was an acquaintance. And every time the band was in town, hey, you need tickets? Very few people do that. Some do, but very few. And certainly not the guy for one of the biggest bands in the world. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to come this night. He's like, why not come all nights? And I'm like, okay. Like, who does that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Madison Square Garden, Jones Beach, it was 3 shows like in a row in a week. And we talked at length about him doing the show many times over the years. But he was always like, my schedule is Foo Fighters or my family. And to come to New York for a week to hang out with you and just play drums and is wonderful. And he gave me credit. He's like, the idea is so cool. He's like, I just don't have the time, but we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. And we had that conversation for like 3-4 years and lots of texts about drums and drumming. And, that one hit me hard.
Yeah.
That was bad. That was a bad one, not to end on a bad note, but the fact that he even entertained it and showed me such kindness was great. And I wanted to like get that to have Dave doing it, but I totally understand it. But when this thing wraps up, I'll feel great about I think close to 300 players we have. But Dave, if you're listening, you are the white whale. So we tried. Bless you. He gave me a lot over the years, and no hard feelings at all. It just would have been amazing to see him on that kit for sure.
Well, I know as busy as he is, he does listen to this particular dog podcast. So hopefully he gets the message. He's not that I know of. Well, Eric, I can't thank you enough for coming on this show because it's just funny. And as you saying, a guy behind the scenes, you've got this amazingly entertaining social feed. I wish we could talk for 3 hours. Maybe you can stay a little bit after we cut. But
sure.
I appreciate it. This has been great.
This is so nice. I'm always honored to be asked to do podcasts, but like I've tried to be a little more discerning about this, but this is the sweet spot for me. And I think it's so cool that you're doing this. And I appreciate the thoughtful questions and being a professional, which is, my God, in this world of podcasting is sometimes tough to spot. But thanks again for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.